Hi folks, my name is Allie D'Andrea. Welcome to MidwayUSA's YouTube channel. Today I'm cooking up some elk backstrap. This is a delicious marinated elk backstrap recipe that I'm gonna share with you step by step and really give you some tips and details on how to cook your backstrap to perfection. Whether you like it rare, medium, well done, I'm going to help you figure it all out. So let's jump right into it. To get started, we are going to first mix up our marinade. So in a large bowl, we're going to mix together 1/4 of a cup of olive oil, 2 tablespoons balsamic vinegar, 2 cloves of garlic, 1 teaspoon of Dijon mustard, 1 teaspoon of rosemary, 1 teaspoon of thyme, 1/2 teaspoon of freshly ground black pepper, 1/4 teaspoon of smoked paprika, and 1 teaspoon of kosher salt. Now that our marinade is all prepped and ready, we are going to cut up our elk backstrap. This is the backstrap from a bull elk, and this is an important tip. I let it defrost in my refrigerator overnight. So last night I knew I was gonna cook this up, took it right from the freezer, put it in the refrigerator, and that's where it's been for the last almost 24 hours, and it is completely thawed and ready to go. Now that we have our elk out of the package, you wanna take some paper towels and pat it off until it is nice and dry. And I highly recommend wearing some disposable food grade gloves like this. It will just keep your hands clean and make this whole process of handling the meat a lot cleaner, a lot easier for you. You don't have to wash your hands every 5 minutes. It is time to cut our beautiful elk backstrap into steaks. Now there's a certain way that I like to do this. Cutting against the grain, I'll slice this backstrap into probably about 3 steaks. I like mine about 1 inch thick. If you like your steaks a little bit thicker, you can do 1.5 inches or even go crazy, 2 inches if you want a nice big thick steak. I'm going about 1 inch here, and now I'm going to use my meat mallet to pound these out a little bit to give them a little more surface area so that we get more of a crusty sear whenever we go to cook these. I've got both sides of my meat covered with some plastic wrap. That will just help protect the meat from sticking to the cutting board, from sticking to the mallet, from splattering all around. It'll just help create a little bit of a barrier. And now with the flat side, I don't really need to tenderize this meat because it's backstrap, it's already super tender. So I'm just using the flat side, and I'm just going to pound it down just a little bit, just to flatten our steaks out to a size that I like. The big reveal, they're just a little bit more even in terms of their thickness now, and again, there's a little bit more surface area. So these are looking great. Now it's time to add these to our marinade. Add them in, and then give them a really good toss to completely coat them in the marinade. You want every square inch to be coated. Cover those with a little plastic wrap. Throw it in the fridge for anywhere from 1 to 4 hours. Okay, it has been about an hour. Let's take a look at our elk steak. Ooh, you can see Abby girl coming in. So at this point, we want to rinse off this marinade and then dry off these elk steaks really good with some paper towels. Now I'm just seasoning both sides of the meat with some additional kosher salt and some freshly ground black pepper. So now I'm preheating a cast iron pan over medium-high heat. And once this preheats for about 2 minutes, I'll add in our oil. You want to use a high temp cooking oil like an avocado oil. Then we will pat our meat dry with paper towels for a second time, like right before it goes on the pan. Making sure that the surface of the meat is really dry is one way to ensure that you get a beautiful, nice, crusty sear on the meat. If the meat still has a little bit of wetness from the marinade or the water, it will cause the meat to steam instead of sear, and then you'll have this really bland looking piece of meat instead of that gorgeous golden brown crust that you want to see. So patting the meat dry with paper towels is like major tip for anytime you're cooking backstrap. Now you see how it's already starting to smoke? That's how we know that it is hot enough and we're ready to add our elk meat. Be warned, it will get a little smoky in here. One last pat down. Beautiful. Now I'm adding a little bit of butter to each of the steaks. And I'm gonna let this melt all over. This steak is the smallest of the bunch, so I'm just pulling it off to test the internal temp. Nice. Right at 128. It is slowly rising a little bit. This will raise about another 5 degrees after it's pulled off. So I'm gonna call this one good. Getting close. 1 and 2. Now I'll check the temperature again on these. So when you're checking temperature, it's really like the eyes inside the meat for you. If you're someone that likes to cut, like cut the steak in half to see if it's done, getting yourself a thermometer will help you a lot because it will allow you to understand what's going on without actually having to cut the steak open and release all the juices and, not ruin, but ruin it in that regard. This guy's around 140, which is actually going to end up being more of a medium well, which is what Nick prefers. I tend to like a medium rare. These are the temperatures that you want to pay attention to depending on how you like your steak done. Now, in general, if you start to go towards the medium well category, you do start to risk the meat drying out, especially something as lean as wild game meat, but it's totally personal preference. So cook it how you like it. Our steak has rested for at least 5 minutes, like 5 to 10 minutes. It's time to dig in. So I'm really anxious to see how these look. This is always like the moment of truth. So I'm going to start with our small guy right here. Wow, that looks good. Look at how beautiful that is. These big dogs, let's see, they were cooked to a slightly higher temperature. Here we go. Wow, still looks so great. This turned out about a medium well. This is the difference between a medium steak and a medium well steak. You can see how the medium well has a lot more brown, less pink. Medium steak has lots of pink. This was cooked to an internal temperature of about 130. This was about 140. And then it rises just a little bit as it rests. And there we have our beautiful steak. Let's give it a try. Cheers. Oh, actually, do a little bit of the drippings. But I don't want to try it with steak sauce because I want to get the full effect. Just a little bit of the juices. Cheers. Ooh, yeah. Elk is so wonderful. It's interesting. I find it quite mild in flavor compared to like a white-tailed deer. They're similar, but elk's a little more mild. But in the grand scheme of things compared to like farm-raised beef, it's actually a lot more flavorful than farm-raised beef. It's really great, really great. That is it for this video. Thank you guys so much for watching. Don't forget to subscribe to MidwayUSA's YouTube channel, and I will see you guys in the next one.